How lucky are we today? 16 years, 3 Pro Bowls, multiple awards. Alex Smith, suddenly retired, is our guest now, joining us live. We don't get many live guests since the pandemic. And we've got Alex Smith today. How are you, Alex Smith? You look fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me. It is good to be in person live.
It is.
Rolling. Yeah, good to be here.
And so let's just talk, first of all. Joy and I had said this because we like you. And I said last year, okay, Alex Smith was on television, and I had knots in my stomach. We said this. We're like, okay, this is hard. And I'm thinking, you didn't. You were obviously. But was there a moment for you? Did you sense the anxiety based on your comeback and the structure of your leg? Did you sense there were a lot of us going, all right, slide, Alex, throw it out of bounds? Did you sense that?
You know, first off, I never fully imagined or expected to be in that situation. You know, I think throughout the recovery, I really thought I'd never get there. I thought the journey would end. You know, right. The pursuit's great, but I'm not actually going to get there. It's just it's impossible. And you know, I'm so lucky. You just kept going, and then those final steps, though, absolutely were terrifying. I mean, to make the conscious decision when I got the approval to play, when I got the bill of health, and it's like, well, I'm going to go step back out on a football field deliberately. And when you play quarterback, it's not like a matter of if I get tackled again. I mean, you're going out there to play quarterback. Like it's going to happen. And then the uniqueness of the year with no preseason, so I didn't get to do any preseason to kind of test it.
Right.
In camp, you wear a jersey, so you have this like cape of invincibility out there. You know, like it's hard to know what's realistic. It always changes a little bit when you get out there and the bullets are flying. So no doubt, the combination of exhilaration and that feeling of being alive, which is what was part of the reason I pursued this. You know, that to get back to that, but also the just sheer terror. You know, to be out there, I'm going back out, and my leg snapped the last time I was out there, like literally. And, you know, I'm running back out into that environment. So a little crazy, you know, honestly, but an amazing feeling. And the best feeling of all is obviously to get tackled and get back up and know I was okay. That to conquer that mentally, you know, the walls that I had built up and really playing football again at the NFL level to be for me, my Everest. And to go back and to do that and to really have, you know, to deal with my own kind of self-doubt in that moment. It was amazing to kind of push through that and work through that.
I love sports. I admit the only thing I don't like about sports is to see players hurt.
Yeah.
So I have never watched your video for the second time. The Tim Crumry video, Joe Theismann, I refuse to watch it.
Yeah.
I can't watch the Louisville basketball player. I can't watch it.
Yeah.
Nothing is sadder to me. So your documentary, it's on the shelf. And I keep thinking, no, I don't want to watch it. I don't want to go through that. I don't want to see him hurt. You're a family guy, great family, great kids, great wife. There had to have been a moment where she's like, honey, no. Like, were there really, really deep conversations?
Oh, without a doubt. Really deep conversations about what do I really want? What do we really want and why? I'm incredibly lucky because, to be honest, when that conversation happened, and, you know, for a long time, football was 1,000 steps away. I might as well have been like going to Mars, you know? So sure, like, hey, babe, you're doing great. Yeah, go try. You know, this is great. And obviously that was amazing. The real gut check came in those last moments when I got cleared to play, which I never thought I would get.
Where were you?
Oh, we had just gotten back. This is in the midst of COVID. You know, there was no off season, so I'd been away, still kind of just doing my rehab on my own quietly. No one expected me. I hadn't had any imaging done in a long time on my leg. We didn't know where I was at from a healing process, my bone. And I go back. This is on the doorstep of camp. You know, a couple of weeks before training camp, we go back to D.C., and I get a bunch of imaging done. And I'm really kind of expecting, it had kind of been not great news all along with my tibia healing. And I'm expecting to hear, you know, it's not in the cards.
It's over.
And, you know, expected to walk into that. And then I hear the news, it's the exact opposite. They're the team of surgeons and doctors all were in agreement that I could go play, that I could do anything. And I had never heard those words, that like a clean bill of health, you can go do whatever you want. from a health standpoint. And I'm like, I can go ski, snowboard. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, I can go mountain bike. Yeah. I'm like trying to think of these crazy things. Because for 2 years, I'd walked around on eggshells, trying not to even slip and fall in the kitchen or getting, out of the shower. And all of a sudden, I'm like, well, I can play tackle football. And they're like, yeah, you want to play, you can play. Wow. So leaving that meeting, my wife and I were sitting in there, and then we go sit in the car. And I mean, yeah, one of the most intimate conversations I've ever had with my wife here. And I'm so excited. I can't get the grin on my face because I've got this clean bill of health that I never thought I'd get again. At the same time, I'm terrified because the football's right there. I mean, it's right. That line's right there, and there's the next step. And I just got the green light to take that step. And I'm really scared, and I really want my wife to tell me what you just said. You know what, babe? Life is good. We're so lucky to be back here. We got your health back. Kids are great. Like let's just get on with our life and be done. And for me, mind you, my wife helped nurse me back to health. The number of hats she wore over this 2-year process is crazy. And then in that moment, for her to have the strength to give me the nudge I needed, it's like, no, babe, I think you need to do this. I think for you, I think you're going to have regret if you don't see this through. For 2 years, you've been working your tail off to get to this position, and we're so lucky to be here now. And I think you got to go do this. And meanwhile, I'm hoping she tells me, let's go, let's be done, retire, and right. Like, so, but I needed that. I needed that nudge. So lucky that my wife, to have that kind of strength, I'm not sure I could have done it if the roles were reversed. So thankful for her to kind of give me that push. And, there's been people throughout my recovery process that have helped me with that kind of continue to keep pushing me when I needed it.
All the awards you've won, multiple Pro Bowls. What did Comeback Player of the Year award mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think the award was special. It's not something I set out to do. Again, I never thought it was realistic. I never thought I'd make it back out on a field.
What did players say to you during the season?
It was so weird. A ton of support. It was COVID, so there's no fans. So going back to when I played, there was no like heightened energy. There were no fans in any of the stadiums,
right?
Especially at home games. So it was always a little different from an energy standpoint. But definitely, it was amazing to get a lot of the love from even the opposing teams when I did get to visit with them. Obviously, I've over 16 years, you accumulate a lot of friends across the league, and then my own teammates. They were so amazing throughout that process, supporting me and all the steps. From my first practice rep, to then like the game when I first got the dress, and all the way to obviously getting to start 6 games. And my teammates there to be with me and to really kind of to be that energy for me and support me along the way was amazing. And that's also the big reason you come back is for that camaraderie. You just can't get that. You can't get that bond anywhere else. And so for me, it was really special. And obviously the entire year to get all of that back, and something I never thought I could do again.
Alex Smith joining us for our radio audience. So a couple of questions here. You've had so many connections through the years. Let's start with this one. This will be a fun one. We both know Urban Meyer. You know him really well. I know him pretty well. What's going to be the hardest part of college to pro? He was your college coach.
Yeah, I mean, I think a couple things. The big one's getting everybody to buy in. You go from dealing with 18 to 20-year-old kids who, in college football, you're Urban Meyer. You're this, you're big persona. And really you got a lot of control over these kids, and they're at a pivotal age, and really you can really kind of dictate a lot about these kids buying in and being a part of the program or go packing,
Right.
It's not like that, the NFL, no, that guy's signed on for 5 years. So
148 million.
Hey, that guy's 33, grown, 12-year vet with 3 kids. Like, you are going to handle guys differently. I think Urban, I don't think that's going to be a problem for Urban. I think he's spent a lot of time studying this. I even think his progression as a college coach, Utah to Florida and then retiring and then going to Ohio State. I mean, that was a quasi minor league team anyway.
Right.
So I think he's dealt with those personalities, and I think he'll be fine with that. I think guys want to buy in. It's Jacksonville. They were 1-15. Guys want to win. They want to be a part of the change.
Right.
It's going to be able to get that momentum going, and the proof's in the pudding. I mean, you got to start winning games and build it, and that's how you keep guys on board. And then a little transition, and this is less so. I think this has to do with the timing. Is the game has changed at the NFL level from an X's and O's standpoint. When I got drafted, It was a gimmicky college offense that I ran. I was in the shotgun. I was in the shotgun every play. We were running the spread option. I'm reading a defensive end on a run play. That can't be done in the NFL.
That was questioned about you.
Yeah, like I got to be a pro-style quarterback. I mean, now it's like, let's go. I mean, what team's not doing that? What team isn't living in the shotgun? Obviously, the timing to get Trevor Lawrence, I think, about as bona fide of a prospect as you can get. I think all that said, I think that's all stuff that I think Urban's got on his side. So I'm excited for him. I had a chance to visit with him here, since he took the job, and he's got so much energy. I think he's got a plan laid out. I think he's been thinking about this for a long time. He's not a guy that makes rash decisions. He's incredibly smart, incredibly thoughtful. I'm so excited to see what he's going to do. That was probably the hardest part with me stepping away. Potentially was, that excited me to potentially go down there and be a part of that. But I'm excited to watch what happens. I think he's got a great plan and a good shot at it.
He's the best offensive coach in college football history, in my opinion, the most creative. Then you go to the NFL with Andy Reid, who is, to me, the best play designer in league history. Give me the moment, the epiphany, the car ride, the connection to Andy Reid, and you're like, oh, so this is what it's all about. This guy really is different as an offensive coach.
Yeah, there were probably a couple times, forever from the outside, I'm like, oh, he's this traditional West Coast offense. He runs the West Coast. And I'd been in the West Coast before I got in Andy, and a lot of times it's very stringent. Like, here's your playbook. This is what we're running, right? And we're trying to get players to match this playbook. Like it got formed, obviously, in the Niner days. We need a guy to play Z, like Jerry Rice, and we need a guy to play X, like John Taylor. And, we got to get the pieces to fit into this playbook because this is what we're running. And we've been running it for 20-plus years. It works. And then you get there with Andy, and obviously he knows his ball, but, yeah, we're running these core West Coast principles, but, we're doing them all over the place and shifts and motions, and he is fearless in constantly evolving. And for me, that was like a huge wake-up call. Like this, I know we're saying this is West Coast. We're not. I'm in the shotgun. We got a fly sweep guy. We got, Tyreek Hill's running this and Kelsey's running this, and how much fun that was, and I think how much Coach loves teaching. Like at his core, he's a teacher.
Yes, he is.
And he loves that. And I know that was a big thing, obviously, as he came from Philly, wearing kind of multiple hats as a GM and doing the roster stuff, really stepping away from that because he wanted to get back to teaching, and to hear my first install when Coach Reid does the install, he's a head coach. He's installing the plays in front of the entire offense. And this guy can coach the left tackle, the center, the quarterback, the running back, the stance and route running of the receivers. There's not a position on offense that Coach Reid can't coach and knows his stuff about, the fundamentals, the things that actually make a difference. And for me, forever as a quarterback, if you throw a ball high, of course you're going to hear, you got to get it down. And I'm like, I'm an NFL quarterback. Like, of course I know I got to get it down. You throw it out in front. You got to put it on him. Yeah, thanks. I knew that already. Coach Reid was one of the first guys to constantly be like, well, why was that ball high? Hey, maybe you were a little too spread apart right here with your legs. Let's be getting back into an athletic position. Teaching constantly, like, helping me get the ball down. Like not just stating the obvious. So that's what I loved about him, and he loves ball. That's contagious. When your head coach just loves football, he loves coming to work. He loves being around the guys. That feeds out throughout the building.
So Alex Smith joining us. If you're listening on radio, what a pleasure for us. It could take you for next 4 hours. We should just cancel the rest of the programming for today. I'll just talk to Alex Smith. So, we've been talking about the Jordan Love situation. There was a pandemic, no preseason. I have no idea what he looks like. But I do believe that if somebody is special, you see glimpses of it. So Peter Schrager had told me a year and a half, Mahomes was like in camp, like the first OTA, and he's like, I'm hearing stuff about Mahomes, and I'm like, well, he better be pretty good because Alex Smith has made the playoffs. So go back to the first couple practices with Mahomes. Did you see the magic?
Oh, without a doubt that year you knew he could play football. I think, again, going back, it's hard as a quarterback when you got the jersey on and you're in practice and you're untouchable to really kind of fully see how that translates to the field, especially with Patrick, who a lot of the magic happens for him off script, and he's so good at it and has such great instinct. So you could see that on the field. And then you saw the confidence, I think. For me, I remember like midway through the year, and we would compete at everything, like quarterbacks. It was a fun fun time there. Coach Nagy was still there, and we're rolling. We would compete hard. We'd be doing individual drill and just, it was like who could beat who over there. And I remember, he jumps in for some reps running scout team against our defense, and we had a good defense at the time. And like, I remember the first couple of times he starts whipping around no-look passes, and you're like, that's not normal. Like just from a confidence standpoint, like who has the confidence to just like whipping in no-look slants? Like the only guy I've ever seen that's Brett Favre ever do something like that. And really then, that final game, week 17, to watch him, we had clinched and we couldn't do any better. So I wasn't playing, and he got to go out and play, and to see it live in action. I mean, it was like, yeah, this kid's got it. Because I don't care what your physical tools are at the NFL level, and obviously his are special, but you got to have it up here. You got to be able to process fast. You got to be able to play fast, and really it's a mental game at the NFL level. And Patrick had it, and that was clear, I think, throughout the season. His work habits, he could process information, and then you obviously pair that with like a crazy skill set, and this is what we've gotten. A guy that I really think one of the unique players in NFL history, especially to date, winning the MVP that early on and a Super Bowl. So it's fun to watch. I mean, even for me just to have like a little sliver to have been there with him in his rookie year, it's fun. I'm such a big fan of Patrick's. And also just because of the person he is. He's such a great dude. Especially in the face of this kind of limelight and stardom, to have maintained the good person that he is even, I think makes it more special.
Final question. How surprised are you how ugly Aaron Rodgers and the Packers has become? Surprised?
It's inexcusable. It's absolutely I think.
What do you mean?
How they ever got to this point. I mean, Aaron's been there 16 years, what he's given to that organization and been there. And for them, I think to what happened last year during the draft, and I haven't talked to Aaron about this, so I don't want to like put words in his mouth, but clearly to watch the interview and him talk about it's about the people. And it is, and Aaron's been there that long, and I don't think it was the fact that they drafted Jordan Love in the first round. I mean, I think it's the fact that how do you have a guy like Aaron and you don't go make sure beforehand, you aren't going out of your way to make sure that he knows that he's loved, that they want him there, that we may be taking a quarterback in the first round. We want to make sure you're okay with it. This is maybe what we're doing. We're thinking. How you haven't treated him the right way leading up to that, and to the fact that, from my understanding, it's kind of like it was a bit of an unknown, a bit blindsided. You go from potentially thinking you may be taking a receiver. You're thinking you're a move away from the Super Bowl.
Right.
And then blindsided with a pick. I just don't understand how an organization, how you haven't addressed that beforehand when you make a move like that and really made sure that everything is tightened up and everybody's feeling good about that. Because if it's not, you're not doing it. In my opinion, you're just not. It's just not the way you run a business. It's not the way you're treating people. 16 years this guy's been there. You were on the doorstep of the Super Bowl, and you don't go out of your way to communicate that and to show that he's, that, hey, you're wanted. This may be something we're doing, sorry. And, but like you don't make sure that everybody's on the same page and feeling good about that. I think, it's not just football. That's any business or team.
Yeah. Did Kansas City give you a heads up on Mahomes?
Yes, without a doubt. With 100%. I mean, that's something that was talked about throughout the draft process, not just by Coach Reed, everybody involved in the personnel department. Yeah, and I'm talking multiple times. Hey, this really might be something we're doing. Are you okay with it? This is going to be the situation. This is, there were no surprises. I mean, it was absolutely laid out for me, and I think that all helps. That when that stuff's communicated, it does make a difference how you treat people.
Yeah. Hey, what a pleasure to have you today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
It feels so lucky to have you. You've been such a credit to the league. And whether you go to a front office or a broadcaster or coaching, don't go to coaching. You own a life. Your kids are at the
I'm not sure my wife would let me. Yeah.
But Alex, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks, Colin.
You bet. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.